call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order, January 21, 2014, 7 p.m. Everybody stand, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is public comments, but before we do public comments, I would ask those in attendance to have a moment of silence for a dear, devoted Putnam official, Peter Seraphin. Thank you. You all have read about Peter, and near the end of the meeting, I'll read this commemorative proclamation we're going to send to the Baptist Church. Item 3, public comments. Does anybody wish to be heard? Have a question? Please state your name and address for the record.
David Denome, 85 Vandell Street, Putnam. A few items I'd like to go over with. The first one is that it's brought to my attention that a resident is allowed to be on the Planning and Conservation and Development Committee. I'd like to be put on the agenda for the next meeting to be approved of being a resident on that committee.
So noted.
Okay. The other thing is, some minor things is, I noticed that the Board of Education meeting was this evening but canceled because of the weather. I don't know if Scott was planning on being there or not.
We're a little tougher than that.
Yeah. So, you know, if it could be considered not to have these meetings simultaneously, since he does belong to that.
Who are you talking about, Scott Penfield?
Yeah.
He's not going
I
on.
know, that's gone?
He's just a selectman.
All right.
We had it on Tuesday because of the holiday yesterday, that's all.
That's why it's a conflict.
Ours is always on Monday, but happens once in a while.
It does happen. Well, it was noted in the website that they were both tonight. The Putnam Public Library Exploratory Committee, there was a notice in the newspaper that there was a meeting this evening at the library. The library is closed. However, I did notice that that meeting was on the website. And since that is a public meeting, I believe that that should be put on the website for anyone to attend. The website itself, as I continue to visit it, it still has the 2000 census. That hasn't been updated yet. And I guess also the minutes for this meeting were not published on the website as of today. They were not there. They were not up. I did get a copy of them. And the other business that is most important here is that in the Freedom of Information request that I submitted, the town administrator did give me some materials. I reviewed them. I came up with a balance of about $15,300 and some odd dollars, which is $16,000 short of what I know to have been spent. So I talked to Doug here, and we agreed that he would give me the remainder of the information within the next week, which is perfectly fine. There's no problem with that. The other item that concerns me most of all right now is the bidding ordinance. I questioned Delpha last week about the shortness of the procedure. She said that she was in compliance with the ordinance. She gave me this here, which I read. However, it was not really the complete ordinance, which is what I was anticipating, even though it seems to cover, you know, the category that she's talking about. After reading the ordinance in its entirety, I personally feel that it is a bit outdated and should be made a little bit more contemporary in its parameters. In item C, it lists that $5,000 being the threshold, but it doesn't give a high ceiling. So it's 5,000 to infinity. Also, 7 days, I believe, for any bid is just too short of a period. That there should be at least a 30-day minimum on anything that goes out there. When I did speak to her about the bid that was submitted, she told me that it had been approved. I questioned her about that today because in the bidding ordinance, it says that such bids shall be open at the selectmen's meeting and formally awarded. Well, that was last week. There was no selectmen's meeting. How did this happen? Well, she tells me that she is authorized to do this through the bylaws of the Putnam Redevelopment Agency. I just received that a few hours ago. I have skimmed this, but I have not read it in its entirety precisely. I did not find any reference that allowed her to authorize this contract.
Which bid was that, Dave?
This was for the signage on the riverfront, story wall. So that is my current comments, and I will return when I receive the information from Mr. Cutler and update on my findings and research. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes, item 4A, January 6th, 2014, Board of Selectmen minutes.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion made to approve.
Second.
Second. Any additions or corrections? Any deletions? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, ayes have and so voted. Item 5, petitions and communication. Do we have any, Denise?
No, we do not.
Okay. 6, report of standing committee, General Government Committee, codification.
Waiting to meet with Chief of Police Hayes.
Okay. Employee performance evaluation.
We have a meeting tomorrow. We'll talk to the staff, department heads again about that.
I have 3, I think, from CCM models. I'll give them to you tomorrow. Economic Development Fund.
Still pending before Board of Finance,
Okay.
and be probably reviewed at their next meeting next,
Monday.
yep.
And Grant Management Programs.
Or that's on hold.
Okay. Reports of special committees, Wheelabrator Contract Review Committee.
Email today from Don Musio stating that he has received conditioned approval from the board, his board, and has requested that he would like to meet again with the committee. It's my suggestion that the committee meet first, because it's been a while since we, and get refreshed as to what was in the proposed agreement. And then after that meeting, set the meeting with Don and council.
And for the record, it says good day. After many months, I finally was able to return to the landfill committee with a condition approval from the Wheelabrator Board of Directors for our ground lease amendment. I'd like to return to the committee as soon as possible to refresh our minds, discuss my board's approval limitation, and hopefully proceed to the next stage. Let me know about Don Musial. Very good person to work with. We call it the Viability Committee. Scott Pempek is the chairman of that, and we're making progress. But we were on hold for several months, and we're glad we're back in the fold now.
So what's the next step?
Next step, we're going to meet. The Viability Committee will meet first. Owen's on that, I'm on that, Doug's on that, Pempek, Vitale, Blackmar, Jason. So that's it.
Which Blackmore?
Mike?
Michael. Charter Revision Study Committee.
I was hoping to get a meeting this week, but was not able to pull it off, so we're still waiting. I'll get back in touch with the committee and within the next 2 weeks schedule a meeting.
Public Facilities Committee.
We have a meeting scheduled for the 29th at 6:30, and we'll get out the agenda to the selectmen, and I'll in turn get it out to the Facilities Committee.
By the way, Peter Serafin was a member of that committee, so we'll have to fill a vacancy there.
There's a lot of things we have to go over. There's a lot of vacancies on that committee.
I'll put that on the
I have a list of people who want to be on that, so checking those out. Staff reports. A, Economic Community Development. Zoning Official Report, Town Planners Report. those are on the table there. Does any selectman have any questions on any of those?
Tom, just, no, not those, well, the town planner isn't here, so.
Right.
And
Do you have a
Delta's-
question, though? Do you have a question? We can get back to him.
On the ongoing work on the town planner, Quinnebog Regional Technology Park and YMCA, met with the project engineer and blah, 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 blah. He didn't really expound on that completely. I mean, that's just verbiage that really doesn't tell us anything. So I'd like him to expound a little bit more in detail as far as what he meant by that.
Okay.
We'll be right on that tomorrow, Mr. Benoit. Number 9, Town Administrator's Report. You have Doug's report. It's kind of thin this month, but it's right on the money. So if anybody has any questions for Doug?
Okay.
Wasn't in my packet, so I'll have to keep the copy.
Oh, my God.
Anybody else need one?
Yeah, give me one. I had it, I read it on the email.
You guys are struggling. There's only 6 points. Which one are you on, Pete?
All right, first on the WPCA.
Go ahead.
All right, it says here that if the USDA approves the full amount, the additional amount would have to be brought back to the voters for approval. We expect to receive approximately 75% as a loan and 25% as a grant. Is that etched in stone, I guess?
We haven't, the application's been submitted, but we haven't got the final word back from USDA. But that's typically what we've been receiving for the past 2 loans that we applied for. We had approximately 75-25 split.
Okay, and I guess we're all set on the Little River.
That's good.
Progress and design, plan development for water line replacement. Rehabilitation projects are proceeding with bidding and construction during the 2014 construction season. What about our potential sewer agreement with Thompson and Pompey? Are we anywhere with that?
Right now, it's back in the hands of the respective towns. So Thompson is still doing their due diligence, and Pomfret's doing their due diligence. The latest thing for Pomfret might be their consideration of, because they want to tie in Rectory and Pomfret School, and also Bruce Industries, is to bring the sewer line down from the Pomfret Hill and drop it down into the airline trail, then run along the right of way of the airline trail to our treatment plant. So that's being given some consideration.
Okay, so when is the next contact date? This
Probably within the next 30 days. We'll be talking to Pomfret within the next 30 days. Thompson, I'm not exactly sure. We'll be back in touch with Thompson, so I can get a report back by the next meeting.
Yeah, because that's near and dear to me, because if that plan comes to fruition, then basically we can lower the taxes or lower the payment of water and sewer for the special service district. Regional Community YMCA Board of Advisors. Okay, no question on that. It's the economic, let's see. When will the agreement be signed on that, Tony? We just started elaborating a little bit on that. Before we sign paperwork, what has to be
Number
done?
2?
Yeah, what has to be done to reach that point?
Is one technicality.
We had both as you remember from the agreement, we were given an opportunity to review the sand and gravel removal agreement, which doesn't pertain directly with us. It's between Wheelabrator and in this case, Rawson Materials, or whatever their corporate name is.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that opportunity. Then we also had our engineering group, J&D, review it. And they found some things, just wording in terms of the agreement, that they'd like to see corrected. And it's nothing of a major nature. It's more technical in aspect. Like they made references to the one being the lot where the YMCA is being located, which is where the gravel is being
Give me a
removed.
timeline. That's what I'm looking for.
Probably within 1 week, we'll have the language all resolved and come back to the mayor for signature.
That's what I like to hear.
Pretty tough, Pete. There's 4 lawyers working on this thing.
I know it.
every time you read something, they change it.
And
What else you
so
got?
that's it for the, to him.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for our town administrator? Okay, move on. Unfinished business. 10A, service recognition.
Still working on donations towards Pete's. Yeah. So,
There'll be a plaque put up in honor of Peter Place, who gave the town 18 years as a selectman, mayor, and a million other committees. So as soon as Alma figures out the exact cost, then we'll break it down and ask for people for donations.
Where are you gonna put it on? Do you have an idea yet?
That little bridge?
yeah,
The
what's
walking
going to be the
bridge.
walking
Oh, the
bridge?
walking
Small Town Economic Assistance Program, STEP Grant Application 2014, discussion, possible action required. What's the deal with that?
Still being reviewed. We have 3 proposals before that being considered, and we'll come to you with a decision by the next meeting.
We're
Okay.
going to put a committee together?
Yep,
Okay.
How many people are on the committee? 5? maybe?
probably the same that was before, about 5.
Would any of those 5 be selectmen?
No.
So is the intent of the committee to come up with the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 items that are going to be on the list in prioritizing?
Right.
Who are the members of the committee again?
It was Alan Rawson,
Mm-hmm.
Peter was on it, but he can't be on it.
Sarah.
because- No, Peter Benoit.
All right.
Mark Caswell, George Tangiers,
Who's the lucky number 5?
there was a selectman on it.
Selectmen, I don't know.
Oh. Was there a selectman? I'll have to go back. I'll send them out tomorrow to everyone.
Okay, good. Okay, new business, item 11A, appointment of Republican Norman Barney Sinay to the Board of Finance to fulfill a vacant term of the expired Peter Seraphin. Just received a note from Barney's wife, our town clerk, and said we can't fill his position till 2/17. It would have to be filled 12/1/15. And what was the reason for that, Denise?
He would have to go on the ballot, and on elected officials, they can only fulfill the vacant term up to the next election, and then at that election point, he would be on the ballot to fulfill another piece of the vacant term.
Because this is a 4-year term, yeah, probably.
Is that the reason?
Yes.
Because it's a 4-year term?
Yes.
I sent the olive branch to the Republican Town Committee Chair, Roy Simmons, and I haven't received anything back. I tried to call him maybe 20 times, and I didn't get anything. And I found out his brother passed away, so that's why he was incommunicado for a while. But I sent him a list of all the vacant positions that need Republican
I saw that.
endorsements. So I haven't received anything back from him yet.
I saw a listing on it. I saw a listing, and there was a lot of them filled in. So you should be,
Excellent. If
He
you
sees
send
it.
it back, that'd be perfect. And as far as Barney, the Board of Selectmen could refuse that position and tell the chairman to submit another name. And I feel like that would be kind of cruel, and I think Barney's been in politics enough and has his heart in Putnam. So I said, we're going to appoint Barney, simple as that.
Mhm.
And I got flack from my chairman of the Democratic Town Committee. Let's do that. So I need a motion and a vote to approve Barney until
I
2015.
make that motion.
Second.
Now, we're going to put a Democrat there second. My motion made by Peter, second by Alma.
So when does the term start?
The beginning, right?
Not
Starts
till we
now,
vote.
but it
Starts now.
Next week.
Starts when we
Not-
vote.
Not
As soon
until
as
we
he
vote.
gets sworn
All
in.
those in favor of Barney?
ends December 5th.
Stop being so
Aye.
quick.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions?
We got a meeting next Monday, so
I
we
have
better
him
get
so
sworn
voted.
in.
He starts Monday.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to hear.
There you go. Appointment of Republican Jane O'Toole to the Library Board to fulfill a vacant term to expire December 3, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Doug Cutler,
Second.
second by Owen Tar. Any discussion? All those in favor of Jane O'Toole signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I have it so voted. Next. Consider and approve the reappointment of Democrat Jay Sinha to the Northeast District Department of Health for a term to expire December 5, 2017. I talked to Lisa Colangelo. He said Jay is excellent. He's really into that, and he's done a great job over the years.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made, second, to reappoint Jay Sinha. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it, so voted. Consider and approve the appointment of Mayor Tony Fells-Reynolds to the Northeast District Department of Health as an alternate for a term to expire December 5, 2017. It's been traditional that the mayor usually is the alternate on that thing. So thank you for putting me on the committee.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Not fair. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ayes have it, so voted. Now, we have a proclamation that Denise handed out to everybody. I'd like to read it for the record. Proclamation in memorial, Office of Mayor, Town of Putnam, honoring the life of Mr. Peter Serafin. Whereas Mr. Peter Serafin will be forever remembered by the town as a community-minded individual who enjoyed sharing his time with his community, and whereas Mr. Peter Serafin was passionate about the town of Putnam and served many years on boards and commissions to help move the town forward, and whereas Mr. Peter Serafin was an American war veteran who proudly served his country, and whereas Mr. Peter Serafin turned his knowledge and talents to the building industry towards sharing his gift with the coming generations by becoming a teacher at Ellis Technical School, and whereas Mr. Peter Serafin was a special person who touched the lives of those he knew. Therefore, I, Anthony P. Fells-Reynolds, Mayor of the Town of Putnam, do hereby honor and remember the life of Peter Serafin, and do urge all citizens to join me in honoring this remarkable man. His presence will be greatly missed, but his spirit will live forever. On behalf of the Town of Putnam, I extend our deepest sympathy to his family, friends for their loss. So we're going to send this to the Baptist Church in his honor. Peter was a good man, and he always followed the charter. Approval of bills, F.
I make the motion we pay all approved bills.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the bills. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. All other business will lawfully come before such a board. I have one thing, the Barney thing. We have two races coming up. One is the Putnam, the something Old Putnam, the Irish race that the Frost
Oh, yeah.
helped put on. It's for the
The courthouse one, yeah.
they sponsor.
Yeah.
They buck up and sponsor. That's one. And the second is the Dairy Memorial Road Race, which would be in August. It's the Courthouse Old Putnam 5K, and that's Willie Busquet, the Putnam Police, the Frost, and Hartford Marathon run that thing. And the Dairy Race is the 25th annual, and it starts August 9th. It's walkers at 6 o'clock, runners at 9:05. So those are two things that are coming up. I think we have to approve both of those. They have the clearance of the police. They have the routes, the maps where they're closing the road and everything else. There was a little controversy with the Courthouse Old Putnam race because the Frost wanted to start closer to their establishment, but they worked it out with the police, so we'll get the official thing probably at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, and we'll just approve it. I talked to Chief Perrin, ex-Chief Perrin, who is now, he has been our Director of Civil Preparedness, and they want to establish a multi-jurisdictional shelter. And Ed explained to me that there is no way that we can handle that. You need a space for 300 people, with heat for 300 people, with cots for 300 people, with blankets and food for 300 people, and pets. He says, Tony, show me where we can do that. he has told me that the nuns right next door have given their gym, I didn't even know there was a gym back there. There's a gymnasium back there, if any people need heat during this cold snap. So that's available, and Ed's taking care of that. The command office will be the police department, and I think one of the schools has heat available. Ed went to Willimantic for surplus, state surplus and federal surplus stuff. He's looking to score some huge generators for us. The only cost would be us getting there, taking the town truck, bringing it there, load it up, put it on the truck, and bring it back.
Worth the cost.
Oh, it's worth, oh yeah, and then there's all kinds of things. You know, a $375,000 payloader. A town picked it up for, I think, $10,000. You know, it's remarkable the stuff that you can get there. When he was the police chief, he got bulletproof vests for $0 and a whole bunch of other things. So it's good that he takes the time to do all these things. He gave me a booklet. I emailed the fellow who's in charge of it, and he complimented our Ed and said, you know, he's been to every one of these things, and he knows the people there. It's in Groton and it's in Willimantic, so it's good to have him on our side. And Delta Very was recognized in a nationwide magazine for the community garden and the walking initiative. We're pitched in there with a bunch of kids and stuff. So that's in the national. It was out of Atlanta, Georgia, the Center for Disease Health, whatever that place is. So that's good stuff. Those are the other, no vote required on any of those things, but I just want to bring them to your attention. Anybody else have anything to bring up before this meeting and before the pause conference? Okay, the last item is public comments. Would anybody else like to speak for 3 minutes? We extended your time last time.
Oh, well,
You got 2 minutes and 51 seconds, go.
I'm sure the 2-minute buzzer won't ring before I'm finished. My questions is really devoted to Alma Maury here. Alma, I understand that you are the liaison of the Selectman's office to the library. Is that correct?
I am one of them, yep.
You are one of them?
Yep.
Who are the other ones?
I'm the other one.
And they're the other. So I guess my questions are to both Owen and Alma, and that would be, what kind of relationship did you have with the Exploratory Committee as this process was going on?
We just were appointed last month.
Oh, I see.
So we've had nothing.
Okay. Prior to last month, did you have any relationship with them at all?
I did, I was the liaison prior to that.
Yeah, you are. So then, what was your relationship with the Exploratory Committee?
I got their minutes of the meeting, and if I had questions, I would ask, and I'd get answers, I would have, and that's what I did.
Okay. According to the information that I had gleaned through the Freedom of Information Act, they were required to submit a report, but yet there is no report that I have ever been able to discover. I have a CME, whatever the site, the environmental report, but nothing official that listed what their activities were in the process.
I know, you bring it up every time.
Yeah, well, because it doesn't exist, and I will bring it up at the next meeting and show you the documentation that in their formation, they were required to submit a report. So you will have an answer for me in our next meeting, why there is no report? Do you know? You don't.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
But you can bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, in the next meeting. And how often will I have to bring it up before I find the report? Is that a no comment? Please answer no comment if you are going to no comment.
I think that you've been directed to go to them for a report. If we have...
Every time I asked George for a report, he said that he gave his report orally to the Board of Selectmen, and it is in the Selectmen's minutes. Doug did not provide me with that information. I haven't looked through the minutes, so are you telling me that the report is in the Selectmen's minutes?
We'll get you what we have to give you.
And when may that occur?
Mr. Crawford, can you help me with that, seeing I'm not in town hall
Yeah,
on a daily
I'll get the
basis?
minutes.
We'll get the minutes.
Mhm.
And that will be the report?
we may consider the report. I'm not sure if that you're going to consider a report because it might not be a report that you want, but I'm sure we'll give you the information that we would consider a report.
Well, okay, I'll be
Okay.
satisfied for that at this particular time, but I'm definitely will be revisiting this again. Thank you very much.
No, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why do you have such a problem with the library?
The reason is that early on, when I started using their computers, I found them amazingly inefficient. And I went to the library, and it is in their notes, to complain about the operation of the computers. I essentially was shrugged off by the few members of the library board that were there at that particular time. I returned again, complained again, and made a little bit more headway. In the process, as I reported previously in the selectmen meeting, I discovered from Priscilla that they were using the platform of XP. And I found that quite outrageous. I'm not much of a computer person, but I know that in a public library to have that many computers interconnected using that platform is obsolete, extremely obsolete. And that in itself indicated to me a high level of incompetence in that particular area. And as I discovered that the library committee was exploring to build a new library, I called George Tangeris, who happens to be married to my first cousin, okay? And I asked George what was going on. He told me that they had $40,000 to expend on this project, and I immediately asked him, where is the report? And he said, there is no report. And I almost fell down, because you cannot spend $40,000 to explore the possibility of a renovation or a new building and not produce a piece of paper that says what you did. All right?
All right.
That is
You
why
answered my
I
question.
am really
Don't
upset
get
with the
huffy,
library.
you don't get huffy.
All right, well,
You answered the
I
question.
answered the question.
Mr. Mayor, wouldn't there be receipts of money spent?
I would think so.
Well, that's what I'm
Maybe you gotta track
inquiring
those
on
now.
anyway. My issue
we got 'em.
is that as they visited these various sites, the Armory, the Provincial House, wherever, that they didn't invite a contractor or an engineer or someone to pick the foundation, to look around and say, yeah, this can work or this can't. I mean, it's nothing.
You're sure about that?
Well,
You're sure that they didn't bring an engineer
well,
to the
all,
Provincial House?
what I'm asking for is the paper that verifies.
He's gonna get
it.
it for you, he's gonna get you all the
I'm
information.
asking for the paper that verifies it. All I know that if you, Mr. Falzarano, other than a basketball coach, said, will you please give me a report? Well, I'm going to give you a piece of paper that has a title that says report. And it's going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay. So loaded, we got it.
Thank you.
Okay,
You
have a
got
good day.
2.5 minutes are up.
Is there any other business coming before this board?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion adjourned, is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:38.
Barney, you're late.
You're late, Barney.